part the south end of the E-wing, which is the very far end, and they're putting a new entrance in there on the side, and then it'll still have the exit doors off the south end. Next slide, Gary. In E-wing, the block work is completed for the bathrooms, and it's more than 50% completed now in G-wing and learning columns. The steel stud for the walls, as well as the block walls and the door bucks in the old office area are completed. Drywall, as of now, is just about finished. They're getting ready to paint. The plumbing rough-in in the new kitchen is completed, the under slab rough-in. The electrical rough-in for all the areas is about 80% completed. All the subgrade work in the kitchen area is completed in the new kitchen area. The corridor walls are being drywalled. The first floor is almost ready to be painted. The second floor is ready to be taped and sanded. Temporary partitions in B2, F1, and F2 are completed. Next slide, please. The exterior footers are completed. Ductwork and VAV units in the renovated classrooms has already been installed. Most of the flex duct is in. They're a lot further ahead on this section than they were on the new building. Slab on grades. The commons area was poured this morning. The new kitchen area, I'm not sure if they got to that this afternoon, but it's still on the schedule for this week. So that those two should be done, and that means that we're proceeding to get the walls and everything up, which is a big deal right now. The roof is about 80% complete, and we're working on the old office area today. 90% of the new windows have been installed, with the exception of the ones around what will be the commons area. They're not totally done yet. Next slide, please. The architects and engineers, the prime contractors are redoing the schedule, trying to make sure that everything is in there so that we can make the dates that we've committed to. They've had to do some changing to the schedule because it just wasn't working. So the engineers got involved in making some changes to it. It's looking better now. Next slide, please. We have two piers outside of the slab area of the commons area that haven't come up to the proper compressive strength yet. So the architect and the general contractor are talking about what to do there. The hope is that as they didn't make the 7-day test, but they haven't gone through the 14 and the 28-day testing yet, so we'll see what happens there. Next slide, please. Okay, we are at $30,960,319 approved to date. Change orders are $519,680, which is, I believe, 0.9%. The normal range is 3 to 5%. So we're still looking good there, although there's a bunch of change orders that have to be processed yet. Next slide, please. Okay, that is the new entrance area on E-wing. There'll be windows and then a storefront assembly is going in here, and then these two doors will be new, and they were always there, but they'll be maintained. Next slide, please. That is one of the new bathrooms, one of the new gang bathrooms in the existing area. That's on the first floor. That one is complete. The one upstairs is nearing completion right now. Next slide, please. That's the old admin office. Those are drywall walls, steel stud for drywall going up. The block walls are completed right now, but the steel stud is going up. There's a wall that has to be removed once we get into the summer months. It contains the clock equipment and the bell equipment, so it can't be pulled out just yet. Next slide, please. There's the start of the new block walls in the old admin area. They're all finished now. Next slide, please. This is the new kitchen area here. another shot of that. The trenching that you see in the dirt, the earthworks in the photograph are for the underfloor for the sewer in the new kitchen area. Next slide, please. That's just one of the VAV units for the air conditioning. You can see the copper pipes coming through to supply it. Next slide, please. That was the first floor wall when we started to drywall it. That's all done both sides. The blue that you see there is ultra-high impact drywall. That's around the doors to the new classrooms. And then the gray is high impact fire code drywall, which is part of the walls. We're trying to minimize the damage that happens to corridor walls. Next slide, please. That's the part of the new commons area. What you see here is the wall, the exterior part of the cafeteria and kitchen area. And this will stretch between the two areas and close off that area and give a very large, I don't know what you would call that, kind of an open learning space. There'll be what they call a learning stairwell where the students can sit, spread their books out, and study and do, socialize. Next slide, please. That is a rather poor photo of the new windows. You can't really tell they're new, but there's aluminum and glass with a thermal break in the aluminum to help with the heat retainage. Next slide, please. This area up here, we see the light blue. When we tore down the existing walls, we found that there was an opening in there that the cold air was just pouring out of. So it was decided by the architects in the district to fill that with spray foam to try and cut down on the energy loss in those walls. Next slide, please. Okay, you've seen these before. That's the artist's rendering. That is what it looks like now. This area up here, we've been having some problems getting the steel, the metal fascia on that. They want to get that done before May so that graduation, the building looks nice. So they're pushing to have that done. I saw some people up there working today. And I believe that's it. Is that it, Karen? Yep. Yeah. Board have any questions?
Yes, you did a good job.
Looks good.
Why don't you explain the column what the reasoning behind the 7, 21, 14 day?
Oh, well,
so that
when you pour a footer for a column, for a steel column, it should, according to our architects and engineers, they want about 4,000 pounds per square inch of compressive strength, which is the amount of compression the concrete can accept before it cracks. It came up to about 3,000 pounds in 7 days, which it should have come up to more than that. So they're watching it. Now, if it doesn't make it, there's a couple alternatives. One is to chop it all out and start over with those two piers. Then there's a couple other things that they could do. There's also some additional testing that they want to do to make sure that they didn't mess up on the first one. What they do is they pour separate cylinders with the concrete, and then they take it to the laboratory. Sometimes they're cylinders and cubes, sometimes just cylinders, and they basically smash it with a machine, measure the PSI, pounds per square inch, and that tells them how strong the concrete is.
Okay. Just to, I think I know what that was, but others may not. And the reason they want that is so that the building doesn't fall from crumbling.
Yeah, that's our primary job, to keep the building from falling down.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
See you in a couple weeks.
To recognize the members of the public who have signed up to provide comment as stipulated in policy 903, when your name is called, please approach the podium, state your name, confirm that you're a resident or a taxpayer in the district, and copy of this discussion for the record. Please direct your comments to the board as a whole, not an individual. We ask that you limit your comments to 5 minutes or less. The privilege to speak may be interrupted, revoked, or a recess of the meeting may be called by the chair if the speaker does not observe reasonable decorum and orderly comment. Thank you. Ms. Johnson.
name is Suzanne Johnson. I'm a district parent, resident, taxpayer, and voter. This month, it's been interesting to hear the finance committee members saying the same things that I've been saying for over the past year. Finally, I heard board members repeating my concerns that this district projects deficits when creating the budgets, when there's actually a history of budget surpluses at the end of each year's audit. For example, there was a $3.7 million budget surplus last year and $4.1 million surplus the year before that. It appears that you tell us there would be a deficit when creating the budget to justify raising taxes, so that then there will be a surplus to transfer into capital reserves in order to fund additional spending on district infrastructure. Now facing primary elections next month, board members are singing a different tune altogether. But your actions should speak louder, so let's take a look at your voting records. In June 2024, we were over 90% through the fiscal year 24, and Dr. Pell told the Gettysburg Times, quote, "We are almost to the penny on our revenues for the 23-24 school year, and it's plain to see we will come in several $million under budget on the expense side." Yet 5 of the 9 board members approved the 24-25 budget with a 1% tax increase, including Thompson, Lawyer, Yerger, Ressler, and Mary Brenneman. Note, all of these board members, except Mrs. Brenneman, are running in both the Republican and Democrat primaries next month. Mrs. Ewan, who is also running in both primaries, didn't participate in that budget vote because she wasn't appointed to the board until October. So voters need to be asking each board member, why didn't you stand up for taxpayers last year when people were insisting that taxes need to be raised, when you knew that their district would have ample funds from the budget surplus in addition to funds from land sales? In October, Ewan and all other board members, except Sullivan, approved spending for the 25-26 capital projects and creation of a new central office position for the food service coordinator. In November, Sullivan was the only nay vote to transferring $3.2 million from the general fund to capital reserves, which was nearly all of the budget surplus following the audit. Not to ACTI or anything else, just new spending on capital projects. Sullivan was also the only nay vote for the significant new spending for the athletic fields capital project in November and the public school facility grants projects in December. Prior to Ms. Ewan's appointment to the board, members approved additional spending for administration raises an entire year before those contracts were set to expire. Sullivan, Miller, and Danielle Brenneman were the only nay votes for the assistant superintendent contract with raises last May. Miller, who resigned in September, and Sullivan were the only nay votes for the extension of the interim superintendent contract, the business administrator contract, and Act 93 agreements for administration, all with raises, a year early. Miller and Sullivan were also the only nay votes in June for the superintendent contract with raises and creation of a new position for the LASD safety officer. Last election, the community voted for change, and 7 new board members were seated, which brought all kinds of chaos, but not positive change. There have only been 2 board members that consistently voted against new spending: Miller, who has resigned, and Sullivan, who has come under fire from the rest of this board. After consistently approving new spending, board members feigned surprise when faced with potential tax increases. 5 board members, Thompson, Lawyer, Yerger, Ressler, and Ewan, are running in both the Democratic and Republican primaries on May 20th. But it's clear from their voting records that would just bring more spending that increases taxes without improving our student outcomes, which has resulted in our district having the lowest PSSA scores in the county. I pray that voters will be better informed to elect school board members that don't attempt to suppress transparency and actually bring the positive change we need in the school district.
Thank you. Thanks, Sullivan.
Good evening to the board. I really want to just speak on, as a resident and taxpayer mainly here, because I didn't have a chance to attend the April 1st FP&S meeting or curriculum meeting, but I did have a chance to view the video of it, and I actually watched it twice. I'm a bit concerned. What I saw in this room was a bunch of adults, supposedly, allowing the attack on Suzanne Johnson to occur. It's clear to me, by watching the video, that they decided to intimidate her by sitting in those seats. I saw it myself. Many other people saw it, brought it to my attention. I think this kind of game stuff has got to stop. You know, I have a lot of respect for some of you in here, but not when you sit there and watch it. One of the people in this room who's most enabling is Mr. Mitchell. He sat there and consoled Janelle when clearly he should have said, knock it off. This stuff has to stop. We can't keep running our meetings prior, after, during, like that. We shouldn't be attacking district parents. It doesn't matter. You know, I got people that come here that speak against me, but I'm not going to stand in the crowd here and attack them. They clearly have an agenda, and I'm not going to attack them. So my whole point is, why can't we all act like adults? Stop playing games, because that's what we're doing over here. That's why he's sitting there now, and that's why I tried to watch that video, and I know Janelle has a nervous disorder because every 5 seconds, click it, 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 click it with the pen. It got on my damn nerves. You can't watch a meeting. It's not funny. See, you think it's funny. This is what I'm talking about, the disrespect of Janelle Ressler. This is why I say she should not be back. For that reason. Because they are very disrespectful people. Very disrespectful. And I'm done with it. I'm done. I think a lot of other people are done with it. I mean, they're calling me saying, hey, no, absolutely not. And another thing I want to mention when I'm standing up here, when I door knocked for the last 2 years, I was very certain when I told people that you guys are running on, not now, but back then, on both ballots, and at the time it was Nick. I told them, I said, look, he's on the Democrat ballot as well as the Republican ballot. And they're like, what? You can do that? I'm like, yes, you can do that. And they're like, that's crazy. Why do they even allow that? And the point is, there's a lot of voters that I've talked to who had no idea you could do that. But I will tell you this, when they came to the precinct to vote in 2023 in the general, when they saw Nick Lavelle, Democrat/Republican, they walked out and said, I'm not voting for that guy. He's got Democrat/Republican next to his name. It's not about representing the students, as Jeannie pointed out in a post that she put up on Facebook. It's not about that, because I represent the students. It's not about that, okay? But what I'm ashamed of is you all claim to represent the students, but I do believe the lady that left the district had 2 students. I do believe that Suzanne Johnson has a student in the district, and nobody respects those. So it doesn't matter what side of the party you're on. You all need to just pull yourself together and stop playing games with people that are sitting in the audience. Because, look, you stuck us over there, and now you want to attack us. Now you want to sit people in front of us. This has got to stop. It's got to stop. And that's all I'm asking. I'm asking it to stop. Stop playing games. Never did they sit up front. Never. And now they're doing it, probably told to do it, but they're doing it. And it's got to stop. Leave her alone. Let her record the meetings. Leave her alone. And I thank you all for listening to me today. Oh, and by the way, if I might remark, by the way, I read the newspaper, Stephen Yerger wrote in here, committee member Stephen Yerger raised concerns about the potential for false accusations. Yerger's pointed out in some circumstances a student could make false accusations. And I'm not even getting into dating, but Steve, you're sitting here saying this, but you know a lot of false accusations have been said about me, and you've let it go. So you're grandstanding. You're grandstanding for the newspaper, which is more than just more is a newsletter now, since Harry Hartman's gone. It's just a newsletter. It's just a happy-go-lucky, oh, look what Steve said, look what they said. There's nothing in here. And another thing on the policy 249, this board is committed to provide a safe, positive learning environment for the district students. The board recognizes that bullying creates an atmosphere of fear and intimidation. Well, if you all are writing that in 249, why aren't you all doing that with everybody else? Because I don't think any of you follow that anyway. You don't. So you're gonna have 249 for the students, you're gonna have whatever, but you all allow bullying in this room. Every one of you do. And it's got to stop. The bullying's got to stop. If you're going to have a policy for the students, you should have a policy for yourself, and you should follow it. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Okay. Excuse me?
Gaslighting of the evening.
Well, at least you would.
I have a motion on the floor. I need a motion to, I need a motion to approve the regular board minutes of March 17th, 2025.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposing? Motion carries. So I need a motion for finance, property, and supply of April 1st, 2025.
So moved, Lawyer.
Second, Mayor Ritter.
Somebody. Carry your call.
I got it.
Do I have any discussion?
Yeah, the only thing it says that we were gonna bring forward is 0, 1, and 2%, but we never actually said that in the meeting, so I don't know why it was in the minutes.
Well, you can't vote on anything in the committee, so if someone asks for zero, even though
No, I
someone
mean, it
is
says that admin's gonna bring forward a 0, 1, 2%, but we never actually discussed that or said it.
I think
So I don't know
one
why it's in
particular
the
person
minutes.
did ask for a 1%. So since you can't really vote, you have to, if one person asks for it, you can come to a
Nobody asked
consensus.
for the
Nobody asked for the two.
Nobody asked for the two. So Carrie, can you amend the minutes to take the two out?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, for clarification, I thought that like the majority of the committee, like what they recommend go for.
If it's a unanimous discussion, yes, but if it's not unanimous, you can, in this particular case, it's best practice to bring the whole thing to the full board.
That's
They do
new.
that?
I don't
Like we did it
understand that.
before, yeah.
So whenever Jeannie wanted something on curriculum back in the day, everything was brought forward?
I don't really remember because I was never on the curriculum.
Blocked it out, did you?
I blocked it out.
Well, can we at least, I don't think that's how committees work, but can we at least notate which board members wanted which item?
We can, that's fine. I think that would outline the reason for the 1% that was there. We can certainly do that.
Yeah.
It's not a transcript, but that wouldn't be a transcript. That would
Not
just
asked
be,
for
that
it.
would be just recognition of what was asked. So,
That there were other options.
Can I say something? Ron?
Sure.
To Nick's point, he's right. In all the meetings that we attended, we would all sit and we would decide what, we would not decide, we wouldn't vote, but we would decide what we were gonna move forward out of committee. That was the purpose of the committee. And thus, if you had a certain number, above a certain number, that's what got moved forward. Because the purpose of the committee is to bring it down to a level that the board doesn't have to sit there and struggle with 16 different decisions. So that's why we have the committee. So I agree with Nick. He's right. That's how the committee should work. If 3 people voted for the 0% and 1 said no, then it moves forward as 0%.
Well, that would be a vote.
That means only three out of 9 members get to decide what our budget's going to be.
Well, that they've been doing it.
And-
So that doesn't make sense to me either.
Yeah, we've always brought multiple
gotta be a
budgets
choice.
to the floor, all the way back to before Statler. Can't remember the guy's name way back when. Yeah, before Mike, there was always at least more than one percentage of increase, or, if there was a possibility of a decrease, there was always more than one option.
You voted on more than one budget.
We presented to the board all options.
Well, how
And
were
then they
the
voted.
options decided upon?
Then when it came to the regular meeting, that's when everybody had discussion and voted on it.
Well, what budget was put on the regular agenda?
When the full board voted on what was gonna be put on.
When did they vote on what was going to be?
May.
But what I'm getting to is how is that budget, how is what they put on the agenda decided? Because what my understanding is, the committee's recommendation becomes that budget.
I would say that the committee's recommendation of 0 was presented. So
But not brought to the board.
if 0 was presented,
Correct.
all the information was reflective of 0. As 1% we discussed and 2% were shown as discussion points, as a full board can discuss about all the way up to 5.2. 0% was noted, FBS, and was presented to the full board.
And the key word that I do believe Tom and they always used was, the board recommended these are the other options as well, just to let people know as a reference point where 1 is, where 0 is, 2 and 3.
So where did the 2 come from?
Remember, when FBS, the administration had anywhere from 1% raise CPI up to 3% for operations. So
Right, and this is just on the finance.
So that was
This
just
isn't-
the administration wanting to put that.
As
Yeah,
I
that was
presented, it was
something, that was
discussion
something
purposes.
that Tom and I discussed for comparisons.
So how are we going to get to the May meeting as to what the proposed final budget's gonna be that we're gonna?
The May work session and May FPS committee will vet that out.
Yes. So the May FPS committee will move forward a budget, a proposed final budget.
And then the work session, the full board will discuss and they can change
Yes.
from then until they vote.
I thought that's what you guys did in April.
Yeah. No, April was when they're presented with the budgets. So technically, you don't need to change the minutes for the property supply, because that's what he presented, right?
No, it says in there, and it
We'll
brings
present
forward to
the full board work session
0.1.
showing
Okay, so that-
figures based on
Right.
general.
So it's only been 0 and 1% then, if that's your
Right.
reasoning,
Right.
and for that, then it's only been 0 and 1%, not a 2%.
Yeah, and we'll worry about that.
But, so, I just want clarification to make sure that, how we're gonna do it next month. So, say that there's a disagreement amongst the one member thinks one thing and the rest of the members think another thing. Are we gonna put two budgets on the agenda to vote on? Or are we going to go with what the majority of the committee and the board?
That's the way it's always been, since I've been on the board, there's been an option.
Yeah.
I don't see how you can argue for three people to make a decision on the budget.
It's always been an option that we've always voted
Had
on two
multiple-
budgets at the regular meeting.
They were always given the.
Given the option,
Giving
yes.
full options.
A full option.
It was,
It's two.
say, it was just every FPS committee in May. Correct. The committee it's select, which shows up on the work session. Every work session then gets decided by the 9 members what's moved forward with to the voting session. And then the 9 board members vote on the proposed budget, and then the same process happens in June. So the voting session happens, that can change from FPS committee to work session to voting session and back and forth. What I presented was just what we've compiled for the past several months to show the full board if there's questions or comments they had now till May to decide, and then again in June to clarify any of the purposes. So we have it starting in December the whole way up to June.
So we'll have one proposed final
There'll be
budget.
one PD document that the board will review, and I'll have to sit for the 30
One
days.
recommended.
Yes.
For clarification, Carl, to your comment about you can't vote in the FPS meeting, you can't vote in the workshop either.
Right, we don't.
Okay, well, I'm just making a point. It was moved forward in agreement, just like it does in the workshop.
Right, that's what I agree with, yes. All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. I need a motion to approve the work session of April 7th, 2025.
So moved. Steve Anderson.
Any discussion on that?
Yeah, on new business, it says that I mentioned what Mr. Barthel said about for future decision-making, but I actually did it based on the HVAC that he was talking about, looking at maintenance records before you go and replace it, and that's not mentioned in there.
So what's the general, what is the
Well, it
general
wasn't just
topic
for
coming out?
future decision-making, it was before you buy this HVAC, to look at the maintenance records to see if you've even been working on it before we go replace it.
Yeah, the question that I would have is, do the minutes reflect that we'll look at the,
No,
we'll look
it
at it?
just says for future, that I mentioned what he said, it doesn't even mention the HVAC at all, it just says for future decision-making.
Right, but then.
It was actually for the current HVAC version.
Yeah, but these aren't transcripts, these are.
No, but that's, I didn't
So
say
for
anything
future,
about
but for future, anything you want us to look at, anything that whether it's HVAC, blacktop, whatever, have we looked at the repair cost, life, or that is what I got out of what you're asking for.
I did.